All right. If you're a content creator, a marketer, or really anyone who makes stuff for the internet, you know this feeling. It's that little pang you get every single month when you see those software subscription fees pop up. So it begs the question, right? Could a single one-time purchase of just $49 actually replace a beast like Canva Pro? Well, today, we're going to find out. We're diving deep into a tool called Graphue.
So to really get why something like Graphue even exists, we first have to talk about a problem that, let's be honest, almost all of us are dealing with these days. I'm talking about the dreaded subscription trap.
And wow, this quote really it hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? That feeling of being slowly bled out by a whole bunch of little charges that you don't even really notice until, well, you do.
You know how it goes. It starts off small. Maybe it's about $15 a month for your main design tool, something like Canva Pro. It's essential. You need it, so you pay up. No biggie. But then you realize, hey, I need better photos. So you tack on another, say, $20 a month for a stock photo service. It's just another little line item, but you can feel it starting to add up. And before you know it, you've added another $30 for your project management tool. And look, on their own, none of these feel like a huge deal. But when you put them all together, that's when you get that classic case of what they call subscription fatigue. And this is where it gets a little more philosophical, I guess. It forces you to ask a much bigger question. Are you actually building up your own library of creative assets? Or are you just renting your creativity? I mean, really think about that for a second. The moment you stop paying all those premium fonts, templates, and photos you rely on, poof, they're gone. So, is there a different way? Is there another path? Well, that's where a completely different model enters the picture. One that's all about owning your tools, not just renting them. So, let me introduce you to Graphue. The idea here is actually pretty simple. Instead of a cloud-based editor you pay for every month, it's a huge, permanent library of professional-grade templates. The keywords here, the ones you really need to hear, are permanent library and own forever. You download the files, and they are yours, period. Okay, now this is super important to get right from the get-go. Graphue is not trying to be the next Canva. It's playing a totally different game. It's a library of resources, not a piece of software you have to learn to work inside of. The workflow is really simple. First, you browse their catalog of templates, and they are pretty high-end. Second, you download what you like, and it usually comes in a nice, neat zip file. And third, and this is the key, you open and edit that file in the software you already know and love, whether that's PowerPoint, Google Slides, or Keynote. Okay, but this is where it gets really smart. The secret sauce is that Graphue gives you the native file for each platform, and that is a total game changer. It means you avoid all those awful nightmare scenarios we've all been through. You know, the fonts that shift, the layouts that just completely break, that stuff that always happens when you export from one tool and try to use it in another. These files are built to just work perfectly. Now, of course, none of this matters if the templates themselves are, garbage. So instead of just looking at the pretty designs, the source for this explainer put these assets through a pretty serious real-world stress test to see if they would actually hold up when things get complicated. So here was the challenge. Take a big 40-slide pitch deck, open it up in Google Slides, and try to completely rebrand the whole thing. I'm talking changing the master fonts across the entire presentation, altering the global color scheme in one click, and swapping out every single image. You know, the kind of stuff that makes a poorly made template just completely fall apart. And the results? Well, it absolutely crushed it. The layout stayed perfectly stable, no weird text boxes overflowing. Changing the global color updated all 40 slides in like 30 seconds. And the image placeholders, they worked exactly like they're supposed to, automatically cropping the new photos just right. It was honestly really impressive. So what does all that mean? It means these aren't just pretty JPEGs slapped on a slide. No, these are professionally constructed files. They have a solid, robust architecture underneath that makes them super easy to customize without everything, exploding. Okay, so we've established the quality is there. Now let's talk about the part that really matters to a lot of us, the money. Because this is where the value of this whole ownership idea really starts to click. Let's just do the math here for a second. Canva Pro runs you about $150 a year. The Graphue deal we're talking about is a one-time payment of $49. So in the very first year, you're already saving over $100. But fast forward 5 years, you're looking at over $700 in savings. That's huge. The long-term value is pretty hard to argue with. And this table right here, it really just lays out the core trade-off you're making. With Graphue, you're choosing a one-time payment, the freedom to work offline with files you actually own, and rock-solid file compatibility. With Canva, you're choosing the convenience of an online editor, but that comes with a monthly subscription, a need for an internet connection, and, let's face it, sometimes those exports can be pretty buggy.
All right, so after running the tests, doing the math, and looking at it from all angles, what's the final verdict? Let's pull this all together. So let's be totally honest about the pros and the cons here. The pros are massive. No more monthly fees, you get professional-grade native files, you can use them for commercial work, and they look fantastic. The cons really just boil down to the workflow. You have to bring your own software like PowerPoint. It is a manual download and edit process, and you're not getting that giant built-in library of stock media that Canva offers. And that right there, that's probably the most important takeaway from this whole thing. Graphue isn't a Canva killer. It's not trying to replace the tool. It's trying to replace the subscription. It's a fundamental shift in the business model. So, we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. For anyone out there who is just so tired of that monthly subscription drain, the real question isn't about which software has more features. It's a question of philosophy. Is owning your creative assets for good worth more to you than just renting them month after month? That's the real decision here.